We now have a good idea as to the theme behind the 2022 Dokkan Battle worldwide celebration. At this point, I wouldn't say it's like totally confirmed, but also I would say they've really never been wrong. So while not totally confirmed, obviously heavily speculated to be a Super Saiyan Goku and a Final Form Cooler from the movie Cooler's Revenge. Now, for me personally, beautiful. Cooler is literally the only movie character I'd say I like more than Cooler is Broly. That's it. The Cooler movies were just... Have I told y'all Return of Cooler is like the only thing I owned back in the day and watched a ton? So to have an entire celebration centered around what is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, it's perfect for me. Now, a lot of people were getting the producer's letter that recently released a little confused because they thought it sort of revealed that the superhero movie was the theme for worldwide, whereas all it was doing was saying, hey, superheroes coming out, we're releasing this free Gohan, and also we're going to reveal the theme of the worldwide celebration here in a few days, which is not superhero themed. So I just think people didn't read the final thing. I don't know where the confusion happened there. I read it and I clearly could tell, oh, it's for sure not superhero themed now. But then I had a bunch of people telling me, Nano, it's superhero themed. I'm like, where are you getting that? But we now know that one of the LRs is likely a Super Saiyan Goku of some sorts, and the other LR is an LR Final Form Cooler. And something else that should be pretty likely is that you should hit that like button right now, and don't be one of the over 40% of you that watch that don't subscribe. What? There's still a lot they could do with these characters, specifically looking at Goku. I actually just rewatched Cooler's Revenge to make this video. That movie still holds up heavily. Now, I did notice there's a lot of very similar animations from the actual Namek Saga and the fight between Frieza, but they can embellish, they can bring things from the games. There's a lot they can still do with the Super Saiyan Goku while mixing up, you know, attacks from the film and sort of integrating those with attacks from other games. I'm sure these are going to be incredible. But to go just a little bit deeper into it, I think it'd be really cool if this Goku could have a key counter, because at the end of the film where Goku pushes back the supernova, that would be a really cool key counter. If it's not a key counter, that'd be really cool to just be a super attack or an active ability where you just use that and boom, is an animation of pushing whichever enemy that you're fighting all the way out into the solar system and into the sun. That would be a really awesome attack to see happen inside Dokkan. And then as far as intros, this is going to be very dependent upon if this is a Super Saiyan Goku. My guess is it'll be some form of transforming, because a Super Saiyan Goku would clash directly with last year's Super Saiyan Namek Goku, because the name of that Goku is literally just Super Saiyan Goku. So they could go two routes. They could obviously have him be base form, or they could also have him be Kaioken. So that would sort of affect his intro animation, assuming these do have intros. So if it's a Kaioken Goku, the intro animation could literally be him going Kaioken against Cooler, which looked awesome in that movie. And secondly, if it's a Super Saiyan Goku, then this intro animation could be him picking up the bird and going Super Saiyan. Now, either way, whether it's an intro or as an active or some sort of transformation in game, we better see Goku holding that bird and going Super Saiyan, or I will be moderately upset. Now let's flip over to the Final Form Cooler. I saw some people saying what's left with this unit after having the STR Cooler, which, by the way, the super attacks of STR Cooler still hold up to this day. That's some of the best animation style they've ever done in this game. But we don't have Cooler Supernova attack. We don't have Cooler's pop up through Goku's Kamehameha, which I would say is one of the more iconic things that Cooler does. I see that all over the net all the time. People really love when Cooler goes through the beam and just pops out. There's still a lot they could do there. And as far as the intro goes, they could totally reanimate him going Final Form 100%, and I'd be okay with that because they've gotten even better in animation since the previous one. Or they could sort of do the thing where Cooler's sitting there and like getting stronger, flexing each arm, and like the ground is just exploding. That could also be his intro. So there's still a lot left they could do with this unit. And again, I mentioned with Goku, but they could pull stuff from the games as well, especially fighters. So there's still plenty, I feel like, of animations to go around for both the Super Saiyan Goku, arguably the most iconic form in all of Dragon Ball, and a Final Form Cooler. As far as the side banner units with these, I think a Piccolo makes sense with the Goku. He sort of is the massive bridging moment there that saves the Z fighters. So giving Piccolo a really solid side banner unit could be very cool. And that's actually what they did with the Return of Cooler. The STR Piccolo we have is from the Return of Cooler fight with him. It'd be kind of cool to bring him back and give him a side banner unit with Goku here as well. And then Salza. Well, we do have the Salza that Dokkan awakens into this Cooler crew there. We don't have a Salza that just specifically stays Salza when he fight Piccolo with his blade. So they could still do something like that. I have to imagine that's the route they're going to go, especially since the previous Salza actually does awaken into a Cooler squadron. So you could still run old Cooler, old Salza with new Cooler and new Salza. So it makes sense. Now the big one, and this is why I never really thought a Baby Saga celebration would really work for worldwide celebration, and that is because there are part 2 LRs that have to follow up these insanely hyped Dokkan Festival LRs. We've had a part 2 LR ever since 2018. There wasn't one for 2017, which was the first sort of major joint celebration celebration between Global and JP Dokkan, and the 2017 celebration is infamously known as the to-be-released celebration. If you weren't there for this celebration, the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Omega Shenron released on Global without leader skills. Yes, you heard that right. They expected Global players to summon for units that were missing one of the most important elements of their kits. This was due to the fact that Global was still in the middle of releasing their 120% leaders and hadn't introduced category leaders yet. So I'm guessing they thought if they gave Global category leaders early, people would summon way less for the remaining 120% leads, which at the time, Global only had Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta from the 2-year anniversary. So when we got to 2018 for that worldwide celebration, which back in the day was actually a million download celebration, they'd got their footing a lot better, and the joint celebration was substantially more fleshed out and just a better experience for both versions. The Part 2 LR of 2018 was the LR Goku and Frieza. Then when we got to 2019, the worldwide celebration had been established as a main and joint celebration that they would start doing each year between both versions of the game. And the Part 2 LR for that year were the LR androids. In 2020, that's when we got the LR Vegeta from the Majin Buu saga that included a partner mechanic. In 2021, that was the first time we actually had a Part 2 worldwide celebration that would introduce us into 2 LRs, which of course was the Krillin and Gohan and the Vegeta that revived into a Goku. So now we're here in 2022 with presumably an LR Goku and an LR Cooler as the main Dokkan Festival LRs. And with that, there's really nothing left that could become what I would see as being LRs for a Part 2 of the celebration. So I think the very obvious thing to do with a Part 2 would make it Return of Cooler theme. And in that case, they could give us a new Meta Cooler, which we haven't had since 2018. And it could be a specific, just one singular Meta Cooler, since the current LR is actually the Meta Cooler core. And then the second LR to go along with that would be an LR Goku and Vegeta from the Return of Cooler fight, which they could mix and match the big fight where they're fighting off the entire core, and then the final fight where they're taking out the actual main cooler inside the Big Yeti Star. So I think there's still a lot they could do, obviously, with Part 2 there. Now, they could go a different route, and we'll know more very soon. And that's if they just simply call this a movie celebration. It's not specific to the Cooler movie or Cooler himself. And in that case, it opens us up to all kinds of Part 2 LRs. We could get Battle of Gods Part 2 LRs. We could get Z Broly LRs. We could get DBS Broly LRs, Garlic Jr., Lord Slug. They could finally give us false Super Saiyan Goku as a Part 2 LR. I mean, Android 13, Bojack. There are so many opportunities if this is just a general movie celebration, kind of sort of to build hype for a presumed Dragon Ball Super superhero celebration that will be following in October, November, or December. You have to imagine at some point before the end of this year, we are summoning for incredibly hype Dragon Ball Super superhero units. And so this could be the big joint celebration between Global and JP that sort of builds that hype and reminds you of all these different Z and Super movies, and is like, get ready because new Gohan, new Piccolo, you know, something is coming very soon. And then the other thing too, for a Part 2 that I've not even mentioned yet, but Dokkan is not scared to play with sort of what if cards. So when you introduce the idea of a what if, like the Gohan and Goku that we got earlier this year, the possibilities are endless when you start looking at Part 2s and even looking at these sort of super tech animations they could do for the Part 1s, the Goku and the Cooler. There's still a lot of potential there, and I'm incredibly excited to see what they do. Now, the other exciting thing about a new celebration we're going into like this, and that a lot of people really like to zone in on, and that is Extreme Z Awakens. And inside a movie celebration, even just a Cooler theme celebration, there's a lot of stuff that I am personally very excited to see get at Extreme Z Awaken. The big one, STR Cooler, man. He's still really good, but he obviously has aged in the harder content. You give that guy some better defense, even just boosted EZA stats, and he's going to be going crazy. So STR Cooler would be a massive candidate here to get Extreme Z Awaken, and I can't imagine we make it out of the celebration without seeing that happen. Beyond that, LR Bojack, he's sort of the next one that's up in line with the LRs. Would surprise me to leave the celebration and not see Bojack in an EZA, so would love to see that too. Another kind of random one here, but AGL Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, I mean, that unit is old. I cannot believe he hasn't had an Extreme Z Awaken yet. The LR Meta Cooler Core, which you just mentioned before, that unit's from 2018, absolutely in line for a new EZA. LR Beerus and Whis, if you didn't realize, they are actually from the movie, so they could get one too. Also, very much so coming up on time for them to get one as well. STR Super Saiyan God Goku, that one needs one bad. Even, this sounds kind of crazy, but they have aged. The 2019 LR Tech Broly and LR Tech Goten and Gohan from the Second Coming movie. Listen, it would not surprise me at all to see them EZA at this point. They're going crazy with EZAs. Now, what I've been seeing thrown out some here is, what if they do AGL Gogeta and Fizz Broly? I think it's too soon, and I think another DBS Broly centric celebration, or at least Dokkan Fest, is in our near future. That would be when you do that. So I definitely don't see them happening now. I feel like that's almost too much, too crazy. But all these I mentioned before, I think are absolutely prime candidates to see Extreme Z Awaken during this year's worldwide celebration. Let me know who you think it could be. Again, all this is still mostly speculation, not 100% confirmed, but it seems pretty likely. Y'all Y'all have a great day. Keep on keeping on. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.